The out-of-district rate would go into effect. So that was the big one coming out of there. The others, as far as the discussion, I think, they did have it on their agenda to discuss our request, but there really wasn't much of a discussion as well. Because they want to wait and see what the ultimate decision is. I'm stalling. As far as, let me just kind of, I know I teed this up last time, you guys, but next week I do have the board meeting for the sewer district. And again, there were rate increases proposed there, so next week we'll be discussing them. And if you recall, I mentioned that they are looking at I think it was $2.50 increase for the next 3 years. So they're looking to kind of do a 3-year increment. And again, all of these rate increases are due to operational costs, I think, on both sides. And I think water's been talking about it too, right? So, I mean, it isn't just one entity, it's all of them that have been looking at this. So I just want to get that out in the open, but certainly I'd still appreciate any feedback on how you'd like me to vote on next week's increase. I mean,
you said 100%?
Oh, no.
Double?
Okay. What I mentioned on the 100% is for the solid, for waste management at the landfill. So if you're out of district, then anybody wanting to bring a load in and drop off at the landfill, then if you're out of district, it would be 100% increase.
So
from where they, so they're doubling, basically doubling that price.
Is that for the small load fee and for weight?
Mm-hmm.
Or
yep.
larger vehicles?
And I did try to push to get the weight increase from a 10,000 pound load up to 15, but could not get buy-in last night. However, they were willing to put it on the agenda. They do realize that there has been several complaints on that, so the board's willing to address it later. But what I was talking about was the sewer district next week is another one that I got to vote on. And for what it's worth, I did vote against the rate increase. Let me think what else. So, I don't know. The other meeting that I'll report on, I know, this is obviously legislation on the Hill, starting to gain more momentum there. Tyson and I divided today. I went ahead and attended the Wasatch Regional Fund Council meeting, which that one was pretty interesting. Senate Bill 195, which is with transportation amendments. That one kind of concerns me on a city level because they're really wanting to, they want the cities to develop a road correction plan that would have to be implemented by 2029, and really what it is it's for any roads or trails that cross over a canal or open water. They want to make sure that we provide the access for the crossing. And so to me, this is one of those unfunded mandates because there's no cost involved on that, or they're not putting up any funding on it. And it is Senator Harper's bill, and we pushed back saying, well, look, cities don't have additional funding, obviously, to do this. And not only that, we already have priorities. And crossing a canal or a ditch or an open water area or access, whether it be on a trail or even a paved pathway or even possibly a road, we want to see the plan for it, and feels like we need to adjust our priorities. So there's going to be some pushback there, but I think that's something that as a city we've really got to watch that one. So I wanted to bring that to all of our attention. And then, let's see, the other one. Oh, here, this was a good one on HB 290. It's regarding bicycle safety lanes. This is actually, I think this one will be okay. It's basically just saying that there definitely needs to be designated lanes that are exclusive for the bicycle, e-bikes, or motor assist scooters. And what they're wanting to do is possibly put some teeth behind it to the motorist in a car that actually drives in those lanes. So that if we have them clearly marked and you've got motorists that are, driving in those designated areas, that we should ticket them for that. So there's going to be a push on that as well. And that's just all about pushing the safety of, bicycle back in your alternative transportation. Those are the biggest ones that I think we needed to that I took away from the list of the different things that they're watching. With that, I'll go ahead and pass it on to somebody in the council to do their reports.
Since you're talking about bills, one that was brought up that I wasn't too familiar with was House Bill 151 at Legislative Affairs today. Has the league talked about that one? It's the House sales. Are you familiar with that, Glenn?
Yes.
So
Which number is that?
151 is sorry, I'm mixing up two different bills. This is the one you can't buy an investor can't buy a home to rent out.
Is that 149?
151. Is that right?
I think it's 151. I'm just pulling up my notes.
So the league or the
149 is the prohibits an institutional investor from purchasing a single-family home in the state. It's not that one?
no
Okay.
151
Is
Benyon home sales amendments. So maybe they're sister bills.
Sounds similar.
Anyway, the committee today voted to oppose it, under the idea that it restricts, an individual from buying a home and fixing it up and flipping it. So if that exemption could be added, I didn't vote for it because I think it's good for the city, my opinion. Or I didn't vote on it because I hadn't reviewed it yet, actually. But looking more into it, do you have an opinion on it, Clint?
Just want to make sure I'm not mixing up.
Yeah, I didn't know about the 149 either.
Yeah, that's the keep investors from...
Yeah, this is the one that requires a purchaser to sign an affidavit that shows that they have an intent to occupy the single-family dwelling within the first 30 days.
The other one...
Sometimes you can't make them habitable that quick.
Well, I think 151 was more it might have had a provision, the owner had to live in it for 1 year. So a little different concept of trying to accomplish the same
That's
thing.
been out there though.
They have to sign an affidavit that says they intend to live in the home as their primary residence for at least 1 year after the purchase.
What's the definition? Do they define an institutional investor?
In the 141 they do, or 149 they do. That's actually what I was just looking at.
Yeah, and in this one, it doesn't talk about institutional investor. This one just talks about purchasers, and you have to intend to live in the home. There's certain exemptions, and let's see here. Anyway,
So the way that 149 defines it, institutional investor means partnership, corporation, limited liability company, or trust, or affiliate, subsidiary, or holding company of an entity described in that section. An institutional investor does not include an affordable housing nonprofit corporation, a family trust, or a family limited liability company. And then it defines what a family limited liability company is and a family trust. That's interesting.
So that would include the developer of the property, of the home.
It would not, unless, if the developer is an individual or the developer is in a family company, but it would foreclose someone that's in a corporation that's not family-based. Because it goes on to like identify what a family limited liability company is and what a family trust is. There's no legal definition for family trust. Because you could call it whatever you want, but it looks like here that they're actually saying, like, for example, family trust means a majority of the beneficiaries are individuals who are related to each other within and including the third degree of consanguinity or affinity. So that's just saying, if me and my family wanted to purchase a piece of property, and it's me and my wife are the beneficiaries, that we would not be prohibited from flipping a house or doing something
Or
like
you
that.
could buy a rental
I
property.
could buy a rental property. But if the four of us owned a limited liability company and we weren't related, that we couldn't. So,
Similar provisions in the 151, a purchaser does not include an affordable housing nonprofit corp, a family limited liability company, family trust, or a person engaged in a 1031 exchange. So similar,
yeah.
sounds like they work together on this.
Yeah, it's the same language. Who is it? I mean, drafting attorney is probably the same one.
Drafting attorney on Austin Weinig on
Oh, they're different.
51.
Non-debatable on this one.
Non-debatable.
Just trying to combat, we've got a neighborhood up on the other side of Highway 89, right before you get to Kaysville, that there's a dozen homes in a little subdivision. They're all owned by a investment firm in California, and they're all being rented out.
Yeah.
Like an entire subdivision.
Which is what the purpose of these
Yeah, that's to
bills are
eliminate
trying to
that.
prevent, because I've spoken to residents, this is good on Representative Clancy for at least trying something like this, because when we put together a nice piece of property and they go through the zoning and everything, and then it gets approved, and then some, investment firm comes by, some capital group, buys up the entire thing just like that, and then rents it out, that does not help the housing crisis. That perpetuates it, because those kids, or the people who can't afford a starter home at 500 grand, now have to rent instead of buy. And so Clinton, Morris and I have talked about, well, what can we do as a city to try to incentivize owner occupation? Because that's the point. The point of the housing, what we're trying to do with housing is to try to get people into their houses so that they can move up the ladder, so they can feel that benefit that comes with home ownership. And it's just not the same if they're in a perpetual rental class because some investment company owns the entire subdivision. It's really taking what you would typically see in a multifamily that goes vertical, and it just spreads it out on a subdivision instead.
Well, and plus they come in and then you might be bidding on a home and then they outbid
Yeah.
and they run the market up.
Well, and they can offer cash, and they can
Yeah.
do a bunch of things that it makes it very difficult for regular people to try to compete against. So I think that, obviously it's just, I am not voting on this or anything, but I like all of the stuff we do about construction is really irrelevant if you can just have an entire subdivision owned by one single entity. Yourself.
The status on both is that the league isn't taking a position on either, but it appears that they have positive feedback so far, that there hasn't been a lot of action on either of them, so they're just being monitored right now.
So I've looked at the Clancy bill, that's the one I have in front of me. So how's that different from the Benyon bill? What's the difference between 149 and 151?
Different statement. One said you have to live for a year, and one said you have to commit that you are going to be the occupier. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and then Clancy's 149 has a provision that says that if anybody that does that has to vacate within 1 year. But it doesn't give any more direction beyond that, so haven't heard a lot about these other than they're being monitored, so it'll be interesting to see how they pan out. A little bit different, definitely on the same topic, but a little bit different. But I remember I was just trying to find it, I remember sending an article from the LA Times last year to Cam at the league about the city of Palm Springs banned Airbnbs in their property, and it immediately, this is crazy that it sounds like this, but it immediately dropped the values of homes and made it more affordable to their residents.
Interesting.
My recollection was it was something like 20%.
Wow. Yeah. I think it was Senator McHale, I can't remember, a few years ago, it might have been even last session, passed a bill basically said people can get together and they can form a company and they can purchase property in the state of Utah, which is the opposite of this. It was pretty much, and that passed, and it was kind of like, don't try to limit people from American dream and all that stuff, but I like the idea of this one because if it's a family, if you're, you know, using it as a family business, it's, the institutional investors are really trying to say, maybe that's just not what we think's a good use of land in the state.
Yeah, so I just found, there were parts of Palm Springs neighborhoods that were up to 40% short-term rentals. And so they ended up putting a cap on certain neighborhoods, and it had from 2022 to 2023, there was a 14% drop in values in those areas.
Which is good for the people who purchase it.
Right. It
Not so good
sounds
for the owner.
strange that
Yeah.
you would think that, but
Yeah, that's the
I
increase
think
we
even,
saw.
I think even homeowners that live in that area would gladly take the 14% to have neighbors.
Yeah.
Well, it increases the capacity overnight, you know, the amount of homes on the market.
Yeah.
Availability. We could probably talk about bills all night. so,
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up 274 also, talked to Clint Morris today. The league said it was gonna be subbed, that would be beneficial for cities to use the revenue where they wanted rather than being restricted. My other report would be the Parks and Rec Commission met earlier this week. We had quite a few citizens there, talking about two different things. Would love hockey or ice complex in North Davis County. Talked a lot about the hockey teams and the high school hockey teams that were in place are disbanding because they can't find ice time between Bountiful or Ogden. Limited ice time, but anyway, big push, and we'll probably hear more from them in the future. I've had a few other communications with a couple supporters this week.
Well, seems like there's somebody that's pushing street hockey, basically, where you let it designate an area of the street, keep it ice up. And they're
No,
providing the sticks and the pads.
On our public streets, I hope.
It'd be kind of hard.
No,
to
it would be, the city would designate a specific area, and then they'll donate that, try to help it.
You
So
could-
watch for that, I guess, because I heard about that coming up.
The only way you could do that would be on the other side of the mountain. Because it would be fluctuating too much. One day it'd be froze, next day it'd be gone because it was water.
69 degrees Tuesday would be tough.
I mean, when, years and years and years ago, you know, with Woody, we talked about it, and Woody says, Dave, I'll tell you right now, he says, here's the problem, and that was it. You can't keep it frozen. I mean, look at
Even today.
last week, I mean, the last couple days. you know.
Right.
Yeah, so. But anyway, that's, you know.
Also, each month we have dog park proponents and have a conversation. One incident that I failed to mention last meeting was one of the proponents of the dog park was walking on the trail and got caught in a trap, a foot trap. And maybe Alex knows more about this, or Clint, but they worked with Department of Wildlife, Utah Department of Wildlife, and they found the person that put the traps, and now signs have been put up. Can you help me on the signs that were put up? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, they put some signs up, and we actually have been working on, at the Parks Department request, we've been working on an ordinance that will prohibit trapping except in limited circumstances.
Where was this at? On Case Creek or something?
The draw just south of Valley View Golf Course.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah, they were actually trespassing on
Yeah.
city-owned property,
Hmm.
and
The dog was off leash.
the dog was off leash because their justification was because the city hadn't provided them a dog park. So they decided, they knew what they were doing and came across that, so it wasn't quite as it may appear, but yeah,
So was it a trail or no?
No.
It wasn't
No.
on a city
no,
trail?
it's up there
That's
east,
that's the understanding
south
I
of the
was
golf
under.
course.
Probably
and
where we
that
put in
Holloway.
that pipe and everybody thinks, since it was.
Well, it's down at
dug
the golf
through there.
course, it's that corridor we've had for years and years, open
Yeah.
space, they've
Yeah.
trespassing on there,
But
but off
trapping, was that authorized, I guess?
No, there wasn't, yeah, and that's where we put the signs is to clarify, we found out who the individual was,
Yeah.
and put the signs, there's no trapping on, park property, open space
On
property,
city.
so it's, both had some issues, if that
Sure.
makes sense,
Yeah.
but yeah, we hope to, on both sides, clarify that.
Okay.
So there should be an ordinance that addresses some of those issues in the next couple of meetings that we've been working on. And basically, the way we've drafted it at this point is that there wouldn't be any trapping allowed on city property, with the exception of us needing to trap animals from time to time. We might have to do that, so we'll just carve out an exception that allows for the city to do it when there's nuisance animals and things like that.
Okay.
And from time to time through the year, Dave would be aware, along the creek here, sometimes you get pretty significant rat infestations, and so there's been a need to try to capture them in some way over the years, but it's not, general animals that people, for pelts or other kinds of things, would trap, but, so we wanted to provide that exclusion for ourselves to take care of nuisance, rodent type things that don't take over that area.
In writing to that, if you can keep in mind, there's some ag properties adjacent to trails, and often there's time to need trap animals, nuisance
Yeah.
animals on private
Yeah.
property. So,
Yeah.
but it might be right next to a trail. Thanks. All we got.
Anything else? Tina?
CTC had our retreat a couple of weeks ago, and it was helpful. There's some things that we're planning to do. I think I mentioned community schools probably a couple of months ago, and there was a time, if you all recall, that we had allocated some money to support Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Layton, and we had funding set aside for that, but we're not able to get the program running from Big Brothers Big Sisters to place children with a big brother or big sister. And so last summer, we used a little bit of that funding to support the community schools program, and it's similar to what we did go visit over at that youth impact group in Ogden. And the community schools, we had 3 of them. There were 3 Layton schools that were participating, and there were multiple sites across the county, and kids were able to go to the schools based on the location. They were free for them. They offered some educational classes as well as kind of summer camp type activities for kids. And they have a full report. I told Megan that we'd like to have a presentation at some point during the work meeting so that they can present on what we did this summer and what we plan to do moving forward with the community schools. But the whole premise is to foster that engagement with our youth so that they can have a connection to their community. And so that's one of the programs that we're planning to move forward on in lieu of what we couldn't get done with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So yeah, we had a good meeting, and there are some updates that I'll bring probably at the next meeting when they're finalized.
Sorry to go back to Bill again, but in regards to Utopia UA, there was a bill, or is a bill, Senator Fillmore, SB 165, which establishes some requirements and limitations with regard to municipalities providing broadband service. So a lot of bonding, reporting, public disclosure, stuff like that. We have a board meeting on Monday that I'm sure I'll get more information on. My review of it, and Alex, you be sure to correct me if I'm wrong, was that there's a big old section that grandfathers in everybody who has already completed municipal infrastructure, who's already bonded, because we have some sales tax bonds, older ones, right, in regard to this. So we would have been regulated had we been anticipating to do this, but we won't be because we're grandfathered into what the scope of this bill is. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah,
Except
we
for
have,
some required reporting.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, you go ahead. I got something to add to it.
I was gonna say, so we have concerns about it, but it's okay. That makes sense in terms of the position, because of the structure of the organization and the timing of it, so.
Okay.
What we were
Okay.
going to mention is that in the league, they brought that up as well. And the notes that I took down were that existing cities are grandfathered in, but that there were still perhaps some additional reporting and other requirements that would still be on that would be potentially on the hook for specific to those revenue bonds.
Yeah, I think the issue that the league has with this bill, and it might be something that they're gonna ask, you only get a few times to everybody, send your text to your legislators, this might be one of them, with the revenue bond for sales tax that process doesn't involve doesn't involve voting. And so there's a provision for that, if you're gonna use revenue bonds for this, that the citizens have to vote for it. And so the concern is, this is the first time in the state that this would happen, that now it's a precedent for other things, and most of the time, cities use those bonds for infrastructure, water, storm drainage, all that. And so you could be hamstrung if something needs to happen now, and now you have to wait for an election. I'm sure Steve wouldn't like that, if it's something that, and we don't roll
Plus
that
the
way.
added cost of an election,
Well,
and
we
then
don't-
off you.
We don't do that. It's not been how we do business, but other cities, it's how they live. And so that's the kind of the other big concern of this bill is that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that we have elections already to decide the financial decision-making for the city. That's
True.
why we're all here. So it's interesting, and you can see the power of somebody, the lobby behind it, because it's finding some sort of exception to municipal bond-related, or municipal infrastructure for broadband as some sort of, as some sort of exception to the general, you can spend the money as you see fit as your city. It's a kind of a bizarre piece of legislation.
Is it just directly at broadband? My understanding was for any revenue bond, but it's just
Municipal
revenue bond.
broadband specific.
That's all I got.
Good
That's all I got,
to
too.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Let's go ahead and move on then. Speaking of elections.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Kim, are you gonna speak on the 2025
Yes.
elections? Okay.
So I had a meeting at the county a couple weeks back, and came back with a form that they want us to commit to entering into contract with them to administer our election as we've done in the past. The proposed cost for the election, as I've calculated it out based on our number of registered voters, would be the same as our election in 2023. $1.37 per registered voter, or per ballot. Should be noted that the county is currently in a bid process for printing services for ballots. So they only could go off of data from the last election for the number of registered voters. Obviously, we just had a presidential election and our registered voters significantly increased. So there's that plays into it. So there could be an increased cost just based upon whatever the results from their bid are. As well as this is the year that we get to have a question on the ballot for our ramp. So that's going to be on there as well.
Is the ballot question on the general, or is it on the primary?
Just the
Is it
general. Just the general. Yep. So, if you guys are okay with that, I will go ahead and fill out that paperwork and send back to the county. They wanted, actually this last week, and I had a visit with Alex, and we decided we'd bring to you guys to, if you're okay moving forward with that, then we can go that direction.
What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, with the legislation that's taken place over the last couple years and their requirements, it would be very difficult for any city to administer their own election. Like these smaller entities, they really struggle trying to, they have to work so closely with the county. We're so big. It'd be frightening, honestly, to try and manage what I have to do with the election, but yet all of that other back-end stuff that the legislation's required as far as the number of audits and how to do that. So I think we're beyond city recorders or cities managing their own elections.
For our size.
No, I agree.
So, but thanks for
It's
asking.
worked well. And they have
They
a good
do a really,
process.
they do a very good job
They
for
do.
us.
That's what
Thank
you
you.
like to hear.
What did you say?
I say that's what you like to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a great working relationship
Right.
with them. They're very professional. You know, I think it speaks for itself. Davis County really hasn't had an issue with its elections, so.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on then to
Thank you.
item number 4. Thanks. on that report, our community block grant, and it looks like Mr. Weston Apollonie is going to give us that update. And welcome aboard, Weston.
Thank you.
Looks like baptism by fire tonight, you get it all?
Glad to be here. I'm going to be brief. You guys are familiar with this process, and Morgan will be here to go through this in the regular meeting for you. With the Community Development Block Grant, as you guys are aware, this is the first public hearing to gather information from the public, and it's a month-long process. We'll finalize the plan in May. So Morgan is going to come and he's going to present this information to you. And this is just a breakdown of funding. And again, Morgan will go through the specific details, but these are the amounts that have been funded. And again, as you're aware, these partners will likely come to say a few words to each of you.
These have been ones that have been funded in the past.
Yes.
The current year.
That's
No
correct.
decisions. You guys will make the decisions.
That's right. This is what's been, thank you.
For the
This
next
is
year.
what's been funded in the past.
So is the youth court, I remember last time we were a hair short. Is this last year's number?
This is last
Yeah.
year's.
Weren't we, it seemed like we were just a hair short, weren't we? You guys remember, like by about 500? Is all? Not the only one, I'm kind of questioning.
Yep. We have, that's been fully made. I don't know if we need to reflect that in our next year's cycle. Balance has been made, so that's full. Does that make sense?
But it seemed like that their training in that is where they was kind of falling a little short.
But then the balance it didn't come from the same pot, right?
Yeah.
So,
But I think in the next, guess what we're saying, is in the next cycle, that number should reflect the full amount. So it's not getting funded out of different sources, it's getting funded out of
Okay.
just like was originally intended.
Are you expecting any change in funding with the new HUD administration?
Oh, that's probably a loaded question.
Maybe if you heard or
Yeah. Not that we've discussed so far.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
will they just be presenting what they need as in the past? Because these numbers are not, I mean, these numbers are the current, not the.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would think with the Code Blue situation, the homeless motel vouchers. It'd be interesting to see what we get reported back on that number.
Many of those, from what I've heard, have, their budgets have been decreased, what funding has been offered to them in the past. So Safe Harbor, Open Doors, specifically I've heard from those two. I know Chief Swanson mentioned something about Safe Harbor.
Yeah, they've been impacted quite a bit. And Open Doors is kind of revamping. So, anyway, any other questions on that? I know the Have a Heart Habitat, that's always a great one. I love the fact that, they're still building homes there. 20,000 on the home buyer assistance. Is that basically, a home buyer has up to 10,000 that they can apply for? So realistically, if we had 2 high qualifiers that would like that fund back,
There's multiple people that, I mean, that's the most that we would give each person on it.
yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. Are you comfortable with this split? I mean, I know you've been familiar with it in years past as well.
yeah, I am.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, very good. You get to carry on then, Weston. Go ahead and go on to item number 5, which is the street vacation right-of-way.
Okay, as you can see in front of you, there is a cul-de-sac that from East Gentile that terminates right before Highway 89. The applicant is requested to vacate a portion of this cul-de-sac. This was put in with the Highway 89 interchange expansion. They are proposing to put in, basically this is the vacation. They are proposing to put in this subdivision. This has already come through preliminary and final plat, but for them to obviously get this lot, they need to go through the vacation process to secure that. So as you can see, most of the road will stay. It's just a portion of it that will be taken out. As a condition of the vacation, the applicant will be required to pay the city for this property. It accounts for 3,110 square feet. Staff's recommending approval
At market value.
at market value. Yep.
Can you show us the picture again?
No utilities in that.
Oh. But there will be a 7-foot public utility easement that's recorded along with it, just like we would with all other subdivision processes in the lot itself.
Did they pay for the property and the improvement that was done before with the cul-de-sac?
They wouldn't pay for the improvement that was already done, just the property itself.
Just a comment here, the fair market value that we discussed was based on, we had several appraisals done for our acquisitions along Gordon Avenue where we've got a sidewalk project and a streetlight project there, which is just maybe 3 blocks to the west. That was the appraisals that we used to determine the fair market value. I think they had talked about getting their own appraisal as well, but unless we hear differently from them, that will be what the value is.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Clint's thinking.
Just wondering why it's called Home Shores.
This isn't the property,
It's not Holmes Creek.
this isn't the property a year ago, 2 years ago,
Okay,
that
I'm
we
with you.
rezoned
Yeah.
back
It's
to
Holmes
agriculture.
Reservoir, okay, gotcha.
recall
Okay,
that?
That was this piece over here,
Yeah.
next to it.
Yeah, or to the west.
You know,
Yeah.
the shore,
Okay, Shore Reservoir, okay.
Marketers.
Okay, I think we're good on that one then.
Okay,
Come right along then, you guys. Let's go into item number 6, which is our permanent cosmetic proposed amendment.
okay. Staff's prepared at council's request, draft amendment to codify the separation between permanent makeup and tattooing, permanent cosmetics, excuse me. We previously discussed this, so this is the 2 separations and definitions. Staff is recommending approval of this. As we previously discussed, when the planning commission looked at this, they voted unanimously to recommend the council not adopt the proposed amendment as it's drafted, but rather adopt a definition of body art. That would include both tattooing and permanent cosmetics. into one body art definition, which would include the same zones currently allowed for permanent cosmetics, except for the PD zone. Again, staff is rare, but staff isn't in line with Planning Commission on this one and is in favor of supporting the text as it's drafted.
Any questions? I think
Yeah, I'm
this
just
was discussed only before, there was
reading it.
direction, so.
Okay,
I think we're good on that too.
thank you.
All right. Well, that was pretty quick. We get to talk about trees. I think this would be a good time. I think, if you guys don't mind, I think there's an item that I'd like to kind of bring up that I think we all need to kind of be aware of. I mean, you know, we were briefed on the tree situation out at Case Creek in West Layton there. And last night, the city held a meeting for all the residents. And I know Councilman Morris and Councilman Roberts was able to be there, along with myself. But there was a lot of discussion about it from the residents. And I feel like the rest of you need to be kind of briefed on what took place and some of the responses and reactions we got. Certainly there's some things that I think that, you know, staff is probably going to have to look at, but I think also we need to probably give them some direction on that as well. So I'm trying to decide if we need to have you explain what the meeting, the way you started it, and the fact that you guys presented all the facts, correct? And you want to go over those details, mainly just on the cost, because I think in mine, there was a lot, I took a lot of notes on it, and I'm willing to share all those notes with you guys, but I think there's a couple of key takeaways that I'm a little concerned about. And in talking to Tyson here just before the meeting, I think he shared kind of one of the same concerns. And Clint, I know you might probably have some, that thinking that we could probably help with these residents, primarily like in the financial side of it. You know, looking at some type of terms for them, because obviously the timing of this has been hastened in their eyes. And they have until April 1 to come up with the funding. So I think it's something that maybe we can look at, how can we put together maybe a payment plan for them, for those that want to do this. But there's a lot to it. I mean, I don't want to, I know I can go into detail, but I really think maybe Tyson and Clint, if you want to kind of share your views first, then I can kind of bring up the notes and see if there's anything in addition we need to add.
No, I guess there was a lot of suggestions that came in from the residents, alternatives. I left the meeting feeling better than I did in the middle of the meeting. I think there was a lot more understanding. There's still going to be some that aren't happy losing big mature trees. But I'd like to hear from staff on the list of alternatives, whether it's in this meeting or another meeting, to just see what's viable, what's not, what's cost effective, what would be better or worse for the residents or the city. There was, like I said, there was just a lot of things brought up that could be considered, I think. But some things, I think, from talking to Steve afterwards, that have already been considered. So I'm curious for staff's opinion.
Yeah, we actually met on it today and had a discussion about that. So our intention, the direction's been given, and we'll begin to work on it. We obviously couldn't have it prepared for this evening because of the freshness of it, but we had somebody capturing all of those comments and questions, and our intent is to compile those or consolidate those into not necessarily opinions, not capturing all the opinion statements, but any of the suggestion statements in terms of other approaches or modes or methodologies or those kinds of things. And there was several of each. Some of those are just opinions, and it's hard to reconcile those. And so we'll do that, and then we'll go to work to, if we don't already have the answers in terms of research, not just our opinions, but the research that supports the best practices or what have you, then we'll go out and look at those, and then hopefully, actually, at the next meeting, we'll pull that together and can have a more detailed discussion about this is the suggestion for, there was a suggestion for this is what we've looked at. Our view is, based on research and best practices, is it may work or it may not work kind of a thing, and try to systematically go through that.
Okay, I think, like I said, there was a lot of opinion, a lot of suggestions, but I think maybe the financial one, I know we do that a lot with people that are behind on their water bills. And I think this is something that maybe you guys can kind of figure out some type of payment plan. I think would be very helpful in that. The other key thing, just so you guys know, probably safety is a big deal, which is why we're doing this. However, the concern, I think, was primarily with the kids, knowing that we'll be starting this project when school is still in session, and all of those kids there, the bulk of the kids walk to the elementary and to the junior high. So by starting the project during the school session, you know, they're concerned because now the kids definitely have to walk in the streets in order to get to school. And the fact that it's such a big impact in that neighborhood, you know, I mean, pretty much every road in that neighborhood. So I don't know, I know that you guys are putting together your timeline and all that, but.
That could also be a good thing, because the kids aren't out in the streets playing, you know, during the summer.
So I mean, the time, there's never a good time, right? But that was
We can speak to that as well. We
Yeah.
consider that, and the approach that we're proposing to have taken, and we've coordinated with the contractors that are involved, is a sequential move. It's a very coordinated, systematic, pre-planned move of how it'll move through the subdivision. So the time frame from beginning to end is intended to be amazingly short when you're very short, when you're laying 3,300 feet of new concrete. And so I think those impacts are going to be a lot shorter than people perceive in their minds, and especially in individual footprints. That's just my word for it. You know, it's not from one end of the subdivision to the other isn't going to be torn up at the same time. There'll be an area that's done, and then you'll continue to move and move and move and move without any delays or coordinations. And that's one of the balances or trade-offs when people have asked, for example, to be able to take down their own trees, is there has to be an understanding that you may be able to cut down the tree, but it's got to be done by a certain time. It's got to be cleaned and so forth, so when the grinding and all the other things come in, there's no delay caused to this process, or the whole thing bogs down because of the scale of it. So that's one of the balances and trade-offs. But we'll bring that information back to you and probably have a little more definitive mapping, I think, of where we'd like to start based on the preliminary discussions with the contractors involved as well. But I feel very good about it. You know, I think we haven't done a project like this before. Haven't had, like we said last night, the scale or safety issues that are presented. And I think the staff, Steve and his team, have done an excellent job of, and great flexibility in proven contractors to say we'll work together and to do this. We've got to finalize those, but I think it'll be pretty. If we can pull it off the way that we intend to, I think it'd be pretty remarkable to make this change in a really tight window, short window compared to what you would normally think what construction projects can emphasize, and to allow it open to just to allow it. One of the concerns is to allow it beyond perhaps cutting down the trees and have people get involved in grinding and sidewalk and stuff. It's going to scatter it all across the whole thing, the subdivision, all at once, and we don't have any control over that. Many using individual contractors, it's got to be inspected, it's got to meet certain standards, and our concerns can quickly turn into just a quagmire, and the end result will not be what the citizens deserve, you know, in terms. But
well, and the last thing I think that I know you guys will probably kind of do your research and report back to us on is any type of alternatives, whether it be pavers or boardwalk, whatever.
Yeah.
That was another big ask from the residents there.
For what?
Alternatives, so that they could keep their trees, but if you go with pavers, then, you know, the shift wouldn't be quite as much, and, you know, or even possibly routing there was a lot of ask last night, and one of them was in also look at reworking even the shape of the sidewalk.
Line the
and that.
sidewalks around the
So,
trees. And
yeah.
We'll try to explore all those and give us some information about other places they've been. We'll take that, research that, and
Yeah. But I just thought that, you know, I wanted you guys to know that, hey, it was a huge turnout, I thought, right?
Yeah, maybe my input, great job. That was, I think the staff knew what kind of a meeting that was gonna be, and appreciate their patience and in doing it and providing the information and why, justification. And so all that is, you know, kudos to all of you. I think we owe, what I don't want to happen is to have that just be one meeting. We talk about it and go, yeah, we can't do that. And then leave it at that. And that, I don't think that's, I think we owe one more round of communication to the residents of whatever is. And I agree about the funding and the possible financial help.
Yeah.
Extending things, I think that's good. Yeah, payment plan, I think that's appropriate. And so I too left feeling better than in the middle of that meeting. And you mentioned the ADA issue that we had not heard before. And I don't know if that accelerates it even further or I don't know.
We just have to move with a purpose and have a plan.
Yeah.
You mentioned the ADA during our presentation. Is
Yeah.
Clint just referring to like
The
a
ramps.
complaint?
Yeah.
You probably talked about
Yeah.
the ramps then.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked about the priorities and it not being the number one priority, but it is a priority to be compliant with federal law.
Yeah.
And what happens if there's a complaint, the power that the Department of Justice has to fine or impose other penalties.
You didn't say rain down.
Did I say that?
You did.
It's an uncomfortable process and it's unnecessary. But if we're contacted by the ADA or the federal government and we can explain this is the plan, this is the time frame, this is what we're doing, they'll still monitor it to make sure we do it, but they'll be satisfied. If we said this is the plan, we're going to do it next year, they'd say no.
And one of the residents shared the story of her neighbor that's in a wheelchair and spends more time in the road than he does on the sidewalk because of the sidewalk, so.
Yeah.
I mean, on the financial side, is there, I mean, with like a utility, there's probably a way you can, you know, have them have a payment plan, but, I mean, would we just be like really? I mean, do we have any precedent for something like that that's not connected to some sort of utility?
I think it can be done. I think it would be wise to set up parameters
Yeah.
and based on actual need and
Yeah.
verifiable need.
Okay, yeah, because that does worry me a bit.
all those setups and the utilities would be custom,
Yeah.
if you will, and to manage hundreds of counts and know who is paying and who's not. That's not it. Our system's not built to handle that. So, like Clint said, that's, as we have talked internally about that, is to have the criteria and have it be somebody that needs that. And
Not just you're affected, here's
Yeah.
what we're offering. It
Yeah.
is, you have to meet criteria to do so.
Mhm.
And that benefit, from our perspective at least,
We don't want to-
and that consideration has been provided in the fact that in most cases, they're paying a third of the cost. You know, so there was sometimes a feeling of not participation, but the reality is that
They're already getting
they're getting tremendous benefit economically. And we're just trying to have consistency across the board so that there's no ability for anybody to manipulate the system and somebody ends up paying and somebody doesn't end up paying.
Yeah, that's not what we're intending.
No, I know it's not
Yeah.
you. I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
And one more question. Out there, as I drove through, there are some side yards that have the trees on the parking, and then the vinyl fences are right up against the
tree.
concrete of the sidewalk.
Oh,
And that's gonna be an issue, I would think.
Tim's good. Tim's really good.
I
I
was-
to say that right now.
We were chatting about the code of where the fences are supposed to be compared to in relation to the sidewalk. Isn't it, what are we talking?
Well, Steve, were you saying that it's different there, that the property line is the back of sidewalk?
The property line in this subdivision is
That's
actually the
why
back
it's-
of the curb.
okay.
So there's an easement for the sidewalk to be in, and so
So they can have the fence right up to this?
I would have
Are
to go
they-
look at that, but Tim can get in there. He's got a very good track record of making sure that he can do things. We've actually had him pour concrete up against fences before, and he couldn't even tell he was there.
What about utility conduits? Are we gonna run into gas lines, electrical, water lines where the trees are?
We shouldn't. They should be deep enough. I mean, the only concern would be the tree grinding and
Right.
and how deep we would need to go there, but again, we talked to the contractor on that, and he's confident that he can get in there and take care of things without doing that.
Just the fact that it's potential, having 20 different contractors in there would be troublesome
what,
Yeah.
as well.
what happens with, like, I have two questions. Sprinklers. I'm sure they're entwined in the roots.
They can be.
Yeah, so if we tear out the sprinklers, that's tough.
Our contractors fix them.
Oh, do they fix them? Okay. Secondly, if I get on a payment plan and I sell my house, does the next guy pick it up, or do you have to settle? You know, I'm sure that needs to be written in.
So we talked with them about some, like an invoice, like an itemized sheet or invoice that also serves as an agreement, and we'll address those issues as part of the agreement.
Oh, okay.
very
That-
specific to their lot, so they'll know
Right.
well ahead that their lot may be different than the neighbors based on the number of trees or the size of the trees, and so they'll know, Alex, your bill is, $300, Clint's maybe 400, and then we'll acknowledge it, they'll acknowledge it, so there's no ability, which we wouldn't do, but no ability that our number can change on our
Could
side
change.
or on their side, and then through that acknowledgement, feel like it's stronger than just a verbal, if you will,
Right.
that obligation.
So there's an agreement.
Address that needs to be.
That as far as them selling, I mean, that's part of the agreement. I mean,
We'd
I'm
make-
just thinking, I could sell my house and I don't care about the bill.
Yeah, we'll address,
Yeah, I mean,
we'll address it. It's a good point, and
Yeah.
we'll address it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, well, I just felt like, we might as well share it while it's fresh in mind.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever. Okay.
Sorry, one more I thought of.
Sure.
Back to Parks and Rec, Gabby is putting together committees for all the volunteers for Liberty Days, so if you feel the desire to serve on a volunteer extra on one of those committees, contact Gabby in Parks and Rec. I'll send you a picture of the flyer with all the committees, opportunities.
That's open to residents.
Or you can share it as well.
Distribute it,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really good. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, we do have one more item on our agenda, which is a closed door session, so with that, I would entertain a motion to conclude our open meeting on the work meeting and go into a closed door session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I'd like to welcome everyone out to our Layton City Council meeting this evening, which is February 6th. Our start time is 7:11, and I want to apologize to all those that were here promptly at 7 for the delay. We do have a meeting prior to this, and we had some important business that needed to be discussed, so I apologize for that. So, therefore, as tradition has it here in Layton City, we do like to start all of our meetings with a prayer and a pledge. And we take turns each month up here. And this month happens to be my month for conducting that. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to go ahead and start with the prayer. And then afterwards, I'd ask everyone to arise and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful to be able to gather here as the governing body of the great city of Layton. We're very appreciative of all of our residents and all of our staff members and folks that work on behalf of this city. We ask thee please tonight to be able to bless us to take care of the appropriate business that is before us, that we will do so in a very honorable and amicable way, that we'll be able to act in the best interest of our citizens and be able to let them be assured that we do hear their voices as well. At this time, we do ask a special blessing to be upon all of our first responders, and in particular, we ask a special blessing to be with our crossing guard who unfortunately had given his life on behalf of this city. We ask for peace to be with his family at this time and know that he is in our hearts, and we think of the sadness daily and pray that this city will heal from this, but learn from it as well. Again, we thank thee for everything that we've been given and ask for thy blessing to be upon us during this meeting, and say this dearly in thy name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, if you could all arise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much for that. We'll go ahead and go as our agenda is outlined for us. First off, we have 4 sets of minutes that need to be recorded or approved. So council, I'll turn the time over to you. If there's no corrections, I'd ask that we have a motion. If you could, please state the date of the meeting and the purpose of, or the date and the particular meeting.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of Layton City Council work meeting on December 5th, 2024, the minutes of the Layton City Council work meeting December 19th, 2024, the minutes of Layton City Council work meeting of January 2nd, 2025, and the minutes of the Layton City Council meeting of January 16th, 2025.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we adopt the minutes as written. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We'll now go on to our municipal announcements at this time. So I know that there's a few of them that need to be shared with you, and I'll go ahead and turn the time over to Councilman Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 events I'd like to talk about that the Parks and Recreation Department are working on. First of all, tomorrow evening, we'll have our Valentine's Dance at Central Davis Junior High, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Free admission, bring the family, lots of prizes, games, fun for the whole family. Live music. Is that Mosh Pit Medics? Is that what they call themselves?
Live music is stretching it. Everybody's over 60 years old, so that's,
Anyway, great fun for the whole family. Next month, family recreation will be March 7th, and it'll be library night, 6:30 to 8 p.m. I've said it before, this is the best time for my kids when they can go to the library and be loud and crazy. So the theme will be Space Night, so wear your Stormtrooper uniforms or Darth Vader. Anyway, that will be, again, at the library here, close to the city offices, 6:30 to 8 p.m. March 7th. And additionally, the Recreation Department is working hard planning Liberty Days, and it's always better when there's community involvement. So a lot of volunteer opportunities for the whole week of Liberty Days. If you feel inclined to volunteer, please contact the Parks and Rec Department either through the website or give them a call. Look up on the website, you can find the number, and ask for how you can help with Liberty Days. It'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No? I'm going to mention one thing that I probably should have pulled up the details on, and I apologize, but I'll challenge you to go to the website and look at the dates. But most of you are aware of our CERT certification, and that's the opportunity for everyone to kind of get involved and be prepared should we ever have a natural disaster within our city. I do know that there's a new course starting, so you do need to register for it, but it's a great program. It definitely helps you both individually, but then more importantly as a community and as a neighborhood. So anyone who would be interested in that, please jump on the website and look it up and volunteer. It's a good program. Okay, if there's do you have any announcements? Nope. Okay, if there's no other announcements, we'll go ahead and go on to our verbal petition tonight and presentation. And again, this is kind of one of the highlights of us here within the city, is to be able to recognize a lot of the folks that have given many, many years of service to this city. And so it's an opportunity for us to thank them for that and for everyone to know what they do for us. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to our city manager, Mr. Alex Jensen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. As was indicated, we are grateful for the opportunity to recognize the greatest asset the city has, and that's the people, the employees that work for the city. And I'm obviously biased, but they're exceptional, both in their expertise and in their competence, but also in their character. And we're appreciative of that. This evening, we'd like to recognize 4 individuals, and maybe just a little bit about the recognition program. It's small in scale, but we think very important in terms of acknowledging the great work that they do. So at 5-year increments, we will recognize with a plaque and a commendation those individuals that have served the city. If an employee has been with the city for 20 years or above, at those 5-year increments, we ask them to come voluntarily to a city council meeting and be recognized more publicly by the mayor and the council, and also by the residents of the community. And so in your packet, Mayor and Council, you will have seen that there's a multitude of employees that have reached one of those milestones. But tonight I would like to recognize 4. And I say this all the time, and it's true, these are 4 outstanding employees who are great people and contribute significantly to the success in the city in different areas. And so I'd like to identify them, and then maybe we can wait and have all 4 of you come up together rather than individual applauses. That'd be fine. Sometimes we have 8 or 10 or 12, and it gets a little bunchy, but we'll just go through. The first, we have 2 individuals from our finance department. The first is Mr. Carson Criddle, and Carson has been with the city for 20 years and is an IT systems administrator. Does a fantastic job.
I think Carson needs to stand up so
Yeah,
the
go ahead and
audience
stand up,
knows who
Carson.
you are. We'll do it anyway.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, there's only 4.
That's great. And secondly is Stephanie Combs. Stephanie here? There you are, Stephanie. She's been with the city for 25 years, and her position is especially important because she manages all of the payroll. So if Stephanie's happy, everybody's happy. If she's not, and she does an exceptional job. So you want to go ahead and clap?
Yeah, double clap there.
Individual is Jamie Seninger, and Jamie is in the management services department. Jamie is the HR manager of the city, and also is currently serving as the interim director of the management services department. And does a fantastic job, has a fantastic staff, and so we appreciate you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Finally, in the Community and Economic Development Department is Mr. Michael Thomas. Mike is a building inspector and much more for the city. He's been with the city for 25 years.
Wow.
So thank you,
Awesome.
Mike. I'd like to have the four of you do, if that's okay, is maybe come up and just circle around this way and shake hands with the mayor. And then I have a plaque here that I'd like to.
And the
No,
council.
barely
We
council.
want
I
mayor and
apologize.
council.
Plaque we'd like to present him with that memorializes the.
Well, thank you, everyone. We seriously appreciate the amount of years of service, and that's why I said, there's a lot of folks that give a lot of time and energy to this city. But as you can see, 25 years is a good portion of their lives. So we really appreciate it. And again, knowing that these folks are willing to dive in and come back at any hours as needed. So I appreciate that as well. Most of them have been able to do that. So, Alex?
May I say one couple
Sure.
additional things, Mayor? Not to make it too long-winded, is you'll notice there were probably 30, maybe 25, 30 city employees here. There were 4 that were being recognized. And it shows the level of camaraderie and support from within those departments. The people would take time out of their schedules to come and support their peers, not themselves, but their peers. The second thing is, in every case, you have family members, at least to my eyesight, you have family members who are here in support of their moms or dad or husbands or wives. And I just want to, on behalf of the city, tell the families and support structure of the employees, thank you, because they're able to do their work because of the support they have from their families to do it. Some of these jobs, not quite as extensively as public safety do, but these jobs can become on-call 24-hour type jobs. And sometimes there are sacrifices that are required to be made in families for them to be able to fulfill their obligations to the city. And so my point in saying that is to recognize that none of us stand alone, right? We have support structures around us of husbands and wives and others, whatever that is in our lives, children that support us and help us to be effective in the job. And so the credit flows not just to the employee, but to the support structure. And so we recognize that and appreciate, and that's a very important part of what we try to cultivate in the city. Is it's not just about work, it's about the family and support structure and being part of our family, if you will. So hope that makes sense, but we appreciate all that you do to help make this a effective organization for the residents. That's why we're here to serve and to try to do it in a responsible way. So thank you very much, Mayor, for the opportunity to share.
For the families. Okay, thank you very much. We really do appreciate all that. We'll go ahead then and move on, move our meeting along. We'll go to our citizens comment portion of our meeting. And yes, certainly if you guys don't need to stay for all of it, but let's hold on just one quick second and let some of the folks vacate if you don't mind. Just a minute. Unplug it. Okay, as I stated earlier, we'll go ahead and go on to our citizens comment portion of our meeting. And just for those in attendance, and just so you know, what we like to do is we hope that you keep your comments to a minimum. And certainly if somebody else has made the same comment, if you could just please elaborate on a new comment. However, I do want to make it clear that this is the council's opportunity to hear what you guys have to say, what you want to bring before this governing body. But They will not take any action, nor will they engage in any discussion, but they do appreciate it, and they'll be taking notes and make sure that they follow up with it with the appropriate staff as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up our public comment portion of our meeting. Please state your name and what city you're from.
Michael Christensen, Layton, Utah. Your CERT activity is the 17th of April, by the way. I'm part of that program, so that's your date, 17 April. Please come out. That's where my good comments end today. 10 days ago, I stood in this office, in this room, with the Layton City Planning Commission to hear a proposal about a development called Savoya Farms on Gentile Street near the railroad crossing. It's a development that's been under planning for about 18 months. Started out in 2023. Neighbors had a fit. The development plan was bad. They came back with it. And now they have a great plan out there for 15.94 acres to have 87 homes on it, right there next to the train station, a mile down the road on Gentile Street. It's a beautiful plan. Could be 15% denser, but I'll never be satisfied on that. Anyhow, in the working meeting prior to that, the city staff briefed the planning commission that the development was going to be geared toward the active adult 55 and older crowd and also have some townhomes in it. It was mentioned in that meeting that those units would be unrestricted. We came out to the public hearing. Council staff stood at that microphone, repeated the same thing. 8 or 10 of us got up and spoke. I was the last one. Councillor Steenbler has my number, so he asked the question I was going to ask him. I got up here and he said, these units will not be restricted in who can own them and who can live in them. I got up and spoke, and I said, I agree with this. This is a great plan to have 87 homes on a bunch of acreage right next to the train station where a young father or mother can hop on a bike, go down to the train station, go into town and work. It's a great place to have a community. And then the developer got to this microphone right here and said, oh, we're going to deed restrict these so that 80% of the people have to be retirees over the age of 55. Now, building 1,400-foot homes on 5,500-foot lots is a great starter home. Councilor Bloxham, you mentioned earlier in that room back there an hour ago how we need to get these people on the ladder so they can climb up and get into the houses they need. And staff didn't even know when they briefed that these units are going to be deed restricted to people who aren't buying starter homes, aren't going to get on their e-bike and ride down to the train station and take use of that wonderful property that's right next to the transit corridor that we have. Why are we building 1,400-foot homes for the nearly dead when we need them for the newlywed? It's a complete waste of that property. Thank you.
Okay. Next.
Mayor Petro, council members, first of all, I want to thank each of you for the prayer and for the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of the meeting. I think that's great. This is my first meeting attending over here in Layton.
I don't want to interrupt you, but do you mind stating your name and what city?
Don Matthews.
Okay.
Over here in Layton.
Okay.
So, I actually just recently moved here. What I needed to address the council about tonight is it's a concern that actually I was just made aware of in requesting a police report, requesting certain information for public records. I was quoted a $10 fee for each police report. I believe that that's an outrageous fee for simply one sheet of paper to get printed out. I've made public record requests in different places all around the country, and $10 for a single police report is outrageous. I called the city attorney's office yesterday, I think it was, just to try to dive into more information about that. I was advised that there was a cost for redaction on the police reports, but if it didn't matter if it was, one simple redaction or if it was a few, it was still a price of $10 for a single report. My problem is the taxpayers of this city are already paying taxes. I believe that something such as public records, getting police reports, is a matter of transparency, and it should be there should not be a $10 fee for each report. I think that's something that this council, I highly encourage this council to look into as far as setting a more reasonable price, because I think at the end of the day, the problem is it discourages transparency. It discourages people from making these requests because of the price. And nobody should ever be discouraged from getting reports from, transparency. So that's all I had to say. I'll cut my time short, but I just wanted to bring that issue before the council. See.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mayor, council members. My name is Brett Singleton. We live here in Layton. Just wanted to make ask maybe for some consideration. So I've helped coach junior jazz for the last several years, coached girls softball. My daughters play. It's been a fantastic experience. Last year I got to help coach the All-Star team that went in Kaysville, and Layton City cleaned up there. I think we won almost all the divisions. So it's pretty awesome. But I know that this year they canceled like all the postseason stuff for basketball. And then we saw when we were registering for softball that they're not participating in the All-Star tournament again this year. That was a great experience. When I did the basketball this year, a lot of the girls were, bummed out that they didn't have that tournament to play. And I know there's been, some issues that have caused that to be canceled, but I'd just like you to reconsider. I don't know if this is the proper venue for that, but again, it was a great experience for my kids, a great experience for me as a coach to have that extra time and have that fun with those girls. And so anyways, it's a great time and just something that maybe if you guys could reconsider, I think it's a great experience. So thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Mark McCashland. I've lived in the city of Layton since 2001. Oftentimes, I think you probably listen to individuals, and this is nothing compared to those who've gone out, but nobody says anything of what you're doing well. And I would like to tell you thank you. I have known Alex Jensen since I've been here, and Dave Thomas and I used to work. Yeah, don't turn around, Dave. You remember me. I was that coach that used to scream at your umpires when I coached my girls playing softball. Alex and I have had a chance to visit oftentimes, and I've expressed my appreciation to him as a citizen of things that go on in this city. I introduced something to Alex that I knew about many years ago called crack sealing when I was a facility manager for the LDS Church. And we laughed and joked, and one day he called me and said, Mark, we bought a crack seal machine. We're going to crack seal the streets. And I loved it. And about a month and a half ago, I pulled onto my street, and my street had been crack sealed again. And I was so excited. I appreciate that when it snows, that the plow comes by. Oftentimes they come by a little bit too late because I've already plowed my driveway out, and they push it back in and I have to go out. But having lived in every I-state and in Washington, and this is the second time in Utah, I've casually observed how cities have been run. And this is a great place to live. I have used the facilities in here several times. Recently, I went downstairs to get some assistance for a passport. And I don't remember the gal's name. I don't know if she was here tonight, but she was very cordial, and I appreciate her helping me get that done. There have been times when I have called the city maintenance department and expressed my appreciation for things that they have done. It's just everybody is always friendly. I always tell somebody, I quote, if this call is recorded for training purposes, you've done an outstanding job and you need to have a raise next time that those come up. So I'm sitting here. This is probably a 4-year pill. Every 4 years I come to this council meeting just to see what city government's going on. And tonight, since I saw that there was a place for citizens' comments, I thought I'd put my 2 cents in. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
I'm a citizen also. Can I comment real quick? I just want to
You're
say,
open yourself up.
Mark, I just want to say, Mark, thank you, but politicians are famous for taking credit for other people's work. We saw the employees earlier, and that's who we should be passing that thanks on to. So, but thank you.
It's called your city manager office. I'm assuming it's rolling downhill.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next.
Carice Thompson, Clearfield City. Also here to represent the Utah Office of State Treasurer. I'm here actually with a Layton resident.
Yeah, my name is Jamie Wadman. I'm live right over here across from Layton High, and I'm here representing myself and also my organization Path Forward Utah.
So the Utah Office of State Treasurer has created a financial literacy awareness committee, and my job is to try to get cities involved in passing a proclamation to recognize Financial Literacy Awareness Month in their city. A lot of people don't realize that financial literacy is not only just a growing theme across the nation, but Utah has led the way. But with that leading the way, we also have an issue in our state where households in our state have $1 billion worth of debt. We're fourth worst in the nation as far as debt in our households. There are people dying for financial literacy awareness. Now, to put on my other hat, because I'm used to being on the dais, I'm also Councilmember Thompson of Clearfield City. And we did pass a proclamation to this effect to recognize the month because we realized in Clearfield City that people really need this. With that being said, for the older demographic, I have continuous concerns about their financial literacy because a lot of people don't know that their Medicaid or Medicare spending honestly does just tax them. It's hard for them to keep up, especially when they're on fixed incomes. And then to our younger demographic, they just don't know the value of starting a Roth IRA and saving while they're young and trying to get that payday tax at the front end so they can not, when they take out their money, they can keep their money. And then towards those working homes, they do not understand often enough the power of budgeting, saving, and investing themselves. So, and honestly, really estate planning. We don't have enough conversation about estate planning in this state. So those are just some of the small tenets of financial literacy. But the reality is that I'm honored to be here to represent the Office of State Treasurer. And just from the bottom of my heart, I hope you guys consider passing the proclamation. If you do, I'd come back here, celebrate with you guys, and let you guys know that one key thing, cities, we are the engine. We are the people who inspire, and we are the people that our citizens look to lead the way. And so I'm just hoping that Layton City comes and partners and helps lead the way with us. So thank you for that. That's a great night.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, my name is Irene Hill, and I live here in Layton. Just a concern I have, it won't take me very long to explain, but when I first moved here, the water bill was like $80 maybe every 3 months, even if you didn't hit the minimum amount. Now it's gone up way high to $80 a month. And I know everything goes up every year, but that's even for apartments if they don't hit the minimum, I think. So my concern is just maybe if you don't hit the minimum, charging you less than the $80 a month. Because I know if you go over, they charge you more, which I totally understand. If you go over, they should charge you more. But my concern is if you don't hit the minimum, can we charge them less for especially apartments and stuff? But that's my concern. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next.
Bob Stevenson. Bob Stevenson, Layton. I just been trying to get around a little bit, and I talk a little bit about the homeless situation. And I've basically am thanking everybody in all the different cities, and especially want to make comment to Layton City. It's interesting with the many things that we've dealt with throughout the county, and some of the comments and some of the opportunities we've had to be able to sit in meetings and listen to people's concerns about homelessness. One thing about it is that you guys in this city have been very, very supportive and very, very, I guess, let us do our job, and we are grateful for that. It amazed me that as we ended up with the location, that we've been in, other than they're tearing the building down now, is that all of a sudden when that became a Layton City address, we didn't hear anybody complain. And everybody seemed to be supportive. A lot of the volunteers in that have come shared their time and their very caring and loving attitude towards helping these individuals out that have been from this town. And I think it goes a long ways. I think all you realize how much I do love the city and have for many, many years. And hopefully you'll still have many, many years left, but I don't think there's that many. Don't smile, Thomas, because you're further along than I am. So, but anyway, I just wanted to thank you. I would suggest that if any of you, if we have any more Code Blue nights, that if you have a second, don't be afraid to ride over at around 9 o'clock, 9:30. We're now over in Kaysville at the admissions building. Ride over, just see what this is all about. You'll probably be fairly surprised. A lot of the things that people were telling us and were concerned about have not come to fruition at all. These are some of the kindest people who need help and want help. And I told this, I'm kind of curious when this clock goes off. I remember the last time I left there was a lot of years ago, and a lady by the name of Theta Wellman was there, and the alarm went off, which was a little clock. She swatted me with a fly swatter and said, "Buddy, your time's up." So anyway, but
Don't waste your time.
yeah, that's true. Anyway, but the very first person when I was over the first night that walked in, this gentleman walks in with the dog, and the first thing I wanted to understand is, how did you get here? This was the thing that was a concern. How are they going to get here? And he says, well, I drove my truck and I've got my trailer parked out. Do you have a place I can plug in and I'll just sleep outside? And I thought, well, wait a minute, what happened to this other element that we were concerned with? And this is what we found, is that a lot of these people are driving themselves there. They're sleeping in their cars. It got too bitter cold for them to be able to do that. So please come on over, take a look. The mayor will let her know when there's a Code Blue, and the fly swatter's just
Been there, done that.
to go off. So anyway, hey, thank you again, and thank you all the citizens of Layton City. Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Lachlan Smith, Layton. I appreciate that, all of the work that you guys do, and especially for the employees that were here. And one thing I wanted to, you had prayed about the car crash, and I just wanted to kind of make a recommendation. You guys can Google Strongtown's the Crash Analysis Studio. And what they do is they offer a free service where they'll run through the scenario with you, and they can make recommendations on how to change any city ordinances or engineering standards so that these kind of things happen at a fewer frequency in the future. And so I appreciate you guys' empathy and looking out for that. I just wanted to offer that resource.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing that there's none, I just want to thank everyone who has come before the mic tonight and expressed your concerns and recommendations for us. Tonight was definitely a very variety of what we've heard, and I appreciate that. And I just, once again, just want to let you know that we intentionally moved the citizens' comment portion of this meeting to the beginning so that if anyone does not want to stay for our customary routine business at hand, and you're more than welcome to leave, but certainly we appreciate everyone here. So with that, I'll now go ahead and move on to our consent items. Our consent items, we only have one tonight actually, so I guess I don't really need to go on about how we usually pass all of them at once. So I am now going to turn the time over to our legal department, Mr. Clint Drake, who is going to bring for us the information regarding our voter participation area B. So
Thank you, Mayor. In 2019, based on a state law that had passed that year, the city was required to analyze the geographical boundaries of the city and create voter participation areas. The city did do that. Since that time, we recently had an annexation within the city. You recently approved an annexation on the northeast portion of our city. It's circled there on the board. It's up there by the garbage dump and our border with South Weaver and Hill Air Force Base. That property that was annexed is not zoned as residential, so it doesn't have a significant impact on the voter participation areas. The requirement for the voter participation areas is that each of the areas, in this case area B, has a substantially equal population as to the other areas. So really no impact there because there's no residential. We just need to incorporate it as part of our voter participation area. So if we advance to the next slide, you can see that's the new map that you'll be adopting. That is the new voter participation areas map. So that's what the resolution will be approving here today.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions on this? Okay, seeing that there's...
Madam Mayor, may I ask a...
Sure.
What are we doing with the voter participation areas? What's the purpose?
For initiative and referenda.
So in the case of that,
then there needs to be a certain, each voter participation area needs to hit certain marks for an initiative or a referenda to pass or to be put on a ballot.
Okay, that's good clarification. Any other questions? Okay, seeing that there's no questions, then I'll bring it back to the council to go ahead and make a recommendation regarding resolution 25-04.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve resolution 25-04, the adoption of the updated voter participation areas.
second.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we adopt it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. That concludes our consent items. So we'll now move into our public hearing portion of our meeting. What we'll do is we'll actually have our items, we'll go ahead and deal with item A, and then we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at that time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to, I believe, Morgan. Is he going to present? Okay, Morgan's going to present Mr. Cloward on item A, which is our community development block grant that we do annually here. So he's going to present this plan for us.
Thank you, Mayor. It's that time of year where Layton City has the opportunity to create a new community development block grant annual action plan. And we're currently fulfilling out the last few months of our 2024-2025 action plan. And the upcoming program year covers the time range of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. And this outlines how the city allocates allotment of CDBG funds that are received from HUD. And as you can see, this is just showing just quickly the budget, the allotment we were given to Layton City and what we've allocated all these different line items for. And I know we have a few of our subrecipients, including Open Doors, Safe Harbor, and others, Youth Court, who are here to share a comment or two. But before we do that, I just wanted to check with you, the council, if you had any questions for me about the CDBG program.
Okay, any questions?
Okay, great.
Okay, if not, then council, I'll look for a motion to open our public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I move that we open the public hearing.
Okay. Okay, this is a public hearing, so if you are here to speak on item A, you're more than welcome to at this time.
Good evening. My name is Deneen Adams with Open Doors, Layton City. Just want to first off thank everybody for the support. I just want to kind of piggyback off of what Commissioner Stevenson said. This year, Code Blue has been wonderful. Open Doors ran it last year. There was a lot of situations that happened. It went so smoothly. It was great. Thank you so much. Also, too, I want to let you know that the motel vouchers that Layton City funded went to 4 Layton City families homeless to put them in motels during Code Blue, so they didn't have to go to the Code Blue. They were families. In all cases, they were single moms with children. I can't tell you, social services, our food bank is going through the roof. We had a lot of need. We're actually starting to see a lot of demographics of people we've never seen before. And that frightens us, especially when we look at the fact that a lot of our funding may be cut. Again, we just had our point in time count. The unofficial count is we found 48 people, most of them within Layton. We had 20 people at the Code Blue shelter, plus we'll have a larger number due to the fact that when the shelters all put their numbers in. So the literally homeless population in our county is rising and rapidly. Enough of that. I brought a guest this evening to talk with you. Her name is Patty. She's a graduate from our Circles program. She graduated from our Circles program, and she's now in charge of Big View. Big View is when we talk to our program participants in Circles about what it means to get involved with your community, to know what your rights are, to know what's going on politically. And Patty did a great project here, and she's here to talk to you about that. Thank you again for your support. Thank you.
So Circles USA has a chapter in Clearfield, and the families that service in Clearfield are everywhere from Clinton and Sunset. I live here in Layton and I participate in the program. We also have some that come from South Weaver, or Bountiful. So in Big View, I've had the opportunity. We try to get the Circles leaders involved in something in the process, in the program. And I've been given the opportunity to do Big View. And with Big View, so many of the people that come in are from poverty-stricken families that don't feel like they have a voice. And so last year in October, I started with teaching them what voting meant, like what the basis of voting is. And we took the ballot apart. What positions were on the ballot, where they fit in the branches of government, what they do in general, and what their jobs were, so that they could more informed vote. And we actually had 3 adults that have never voted before voted this year. And we were so excited. And we had more investigation into voting with many of the people that participate in Circles. So that was a very big win for me. And then in January, I decided, let's start small. Let's start with our own cities. And so I took and looked up what city council does, bit by bit, what they do and how a citizen can participate in it. So we went through the whole thing on Thursday, January. Anyways, I can't, I'm nervous. And
You don't need to be.
we actually went to, 3 of us attended the Clearfield City Council on Tuesday. And when Deneen wanted someone to come here to participate with her, I was like, yes, my city, I want to go to my city council. And so that's what we're doing. We're starting small, and then we want to go up to county and the state level. We've got a lot of stuff going on in our government that I want them to feel like they have a voice, that they're not a silent piece to the community. And even just getting them up and active and just looking at the news or looking at what's coming down, that's been our big goal. So that's Big View. So you take this small community, poverty stricken, and help them see the big view of where they set, that they are still an individual and they still have that respect of having a vote. So I think it's been very successful, and like I said, we're going up the chain in the next couple of months. So thank you guys for what you do. You guys have amazing jobs. You spend this time and you care about our city, and it is shown, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Deneen, for the presentation. And Patty, and don't ever be nervous. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question really quick?
Sure.
Do you still, the Circles program, do you still meet in Clearfield? Is that with the church? Is it
Clearfield Community Church.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Open Doors is actually in the process of trying to purchase our own building so we can have everybody together, and then Circles would be under our own.
Okay.
And the building's in Layton.
No, it's a great program. Open Doors does a fantastic job, and they serve a need in the community very much, both from the food bank side as well as the big view, but more importantly, just letting folks know that there's others out there that care. So I know that you still have your mentor program. So if there's anybody listening that would want to help volunteer there, I mean, they need mentors to help these folks. So thank you. Okay, next.
Hi, I'm Carlene Kidman, Layton. Mayor, City Council, thanks. I like when they come and tell you thanks for all the good stuff you've done, because I was, just for fun, I was shopping today over at Fresh Market and had my jacket on, and someone came up to me and said, I just want to tell you how great Layton City is, and you're so lucky to work for them. So I had to educate them on what youth court was. But just want to let you know that people are out there wanting to compliment you. So thank you, and thanks for all your support for youth court. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without you guys. So we just hope that you'll continue to support us. I'll just give you a few statistics. We are in our 27th year. We're going to be starting our 28th, recruiting for our 28th year. Next month in March, so we're starting on that. But last year we do a fiscal year from like the state does fiscal year. We received 100 cases. Okay, so friends, and 97% of those completed. I could tell you why the 2 didn't, but that's another story. But this year already, since July, as of this morning, I just logged in our 107th case. So we're almost double from what we have been doing for last year. And so I just have a few statistics that I thought was interesting when I was just running on this yesterday and today. 22% of the cases are 9th graders, and 22% are 11th graders. So I thought that was very interesting. 15% is 8th graders, and then 12% is 6th graders, and 12% is 10th graders. So we are going from one end, young, to the all the way up into 12th graders too. So I thought that was interesting. Last year, most of our cases were possession of marijuana. So far this year, 40% of ours are retail theft. So retail theft has been going up, which is really cool because they are catching these kids, so hopefully they'll learn so they don't keep doing it. And 16% are possession of marijuana. And the next one, 11%, is criminal mischief. So there's very big, in fact, the ones I got today is one I've never seen before, and it's rioting. So it's going to be an interesting case for youth, just so you know. So we have found that there's been these youth have a lot of problems and, reasons. They always say, I use the substances because I'm depressed or have anxiety. So we were able to partner with Davis Behavioral Health. And if you notice, you ever come over here, we put the wall up and we have a class going every Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Davis Behavioral Health has come over and they teach all the youth that can participate, because some of them are too young, or their parents don't have cars, or they can't get here, or they're from other cities, because we get cases from all over. But they come in and teach the Learning to Breathe class. And it's 2 hours, and they're doing it 4 times, so it's 8 hours. And they've added Catch My Breath to it. So it's a vaping class, kind of teaching all these kids not to vape, because you can't breathe if you're vaping. So it's really cool. Last year we had 4 classes, and 34 youth completed it. And so we thought that was really great. So far this year, we've already had 4 classes with 34 attending, and we have 12 in the class that just started last night. And so we have 3 more classes. They have them all the way up till school ends in May. And so it's just wonderful that these kids are coming in and learning, hopefully being able to take these skills that they're learning. And I talk to them all the time. I go, what you learning? What you learning? I'm learning how to stop and do a scan of my body, what motions I'm having, and to breathe. And I'm going, yes, yes, yes. So it's really cool. So we're very thankful and very grateful that Davis Behavioral Health has partnered with us, and we're able to do that. We're going to start something new this year. I've been wanting to do it for a few years, and I finally have done it. And And we're going to follow up in 6 months after the kids have completed youth court to see how they're doing, if they're completing, haven't gotten in trouble again and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll get some good statistics on that. And so I have that in place that we're going to start implementing that and stuff. So it's going to be really cool. And so we really thank you for all your support. These kids that are great. The kids that come in that have made a bad choice are great kids too. And the ladies from Davis Behavioral Health last night came out of the class. They said, "This is the best class." And I go, "You said that last month." And I said, "These kids are great. Yeah, they made a mistake, but they're great, and they want to learn, and they want to change their lives, and they want to not make these mistakes." So thank you for all your support. I hope you continue to support us, because we couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
No, thank you very much, Carlene. And on behalf of all of us up here, we do appreciate the amount of hours and time and energy you put into this program, because you're really the one that has built this program and continued to work this program. And the success really lies within your heart and dedication to this. So thank you. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and council people. We're with Habitat for Humanity. My name is John Russell, and we'd like to acknowledge Layton City, especially Morgan Cloward, who has collaborated with us in bringing in a critical repair program to Davis County. Through Layton, we've been introduced to Davis County as well as Clearfield. Anyway, we are applying for the CDBG funds again this year, and we want to have a presence in Davis County, Layton especially. We offer a critical repair program for the moderate to low income, 80% of AMI or below. There's grants available. We're looking to get projects done, not looking for disqualification. We look at everything that's health, safety, or energy related. So really any critical repairs, any deferred maintenance items that people are facing. And so we have a couple flyers. I don't know if those are applicable. We'll put them in the back. Morgan has all of our information, but we would really like to get a foothold in Layton. We've been in Salt Lake County for 12 years with the critical repair program. We see a need in Layton City as well. And so Morgan has been instrumental in getting us started in here. We're operating in Davis now. Clearfield has asked us to apply, but we'd like to set a presence here as well with the critical repair program, so that the low to moderate income people can stabilize their housing. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate that. And you certainly have the right contact there with Morgan. Thank you.
Mayor, council, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and talk to you, and quite frankly, just say thank you for your assistance last year. The CDBG grant has been a wonderful help to our organization. My name is Todd Hickson. I'm the Executive Director for Safe Harbor Crisis Center.
And my name is Emily Hilstead, and I am the Development Director of Safe Harbor Crisis Center.
So we just kind of want to report out to you of how this last year went. And so for Layton City, we served a total of 476 clients from Layton City. This resulted in 2,753 client service hours and 7,445 different sessions. And these sessions included all services throughout our organization, such as the hotline, the shelter, our housing, outreach, therapy, forensic nursing. Without the help from grants, our organization wouldn't be able to exist. And the work that we do and that we see every year is so critical to improving the life of so many people. So just wanted to come in, say thank you. Hopefully look forward to partnering with you again next year. We've seen a lot of increase in different areas. So any assistance you can give would be wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you want to speak about your light up the night? Come on. Great opportunity.
Of course. So again, my name is Emily Hilstead, and I'm the Development Director at Safe Harbor Crisis Center. I've been there for about 2 years. I started out as volunteer coordinator, so I understand the importance of volunteers. I understand the importance of community partnership, And I definitely understand the importance of our county and of course Layton City. And I did want to just join Todd in saying thank you. We have two campuses, one in Layton, the other is confidential, so bummer for you guys. But we do appreciate the support bringing our outreach center into Layton. It offers all of our therapy needs, our outreach needs, so all of those protective orders, all of those different resources. And not only do we get to serve in Layton, but with our confidential location, we get to serve those clients of Layton City also. Like he mentioned, the over 400 clients we served at our shelter and housing and throughout our program. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else for item A here on our public hearing? Okay, if not, I'll go ahead and council, I believe, trying to decide if we should go ahead and take action now or just wait and do them all, because we got to close our public hearing, right, in order to take action. So
you don't have to close the public hearing. You can take action.
we can go ahead.
Public hearing open.
Okay.
Yep.
But I think what I'd like to do tonight then is go ahead and bring it back to council regarding item number A and have you take action on it at this time.
Yeah, and on this one, this one's just.
Oh, that's right.
Tonight. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Sorry, that's my bad.
No problem.
This was our first public hearing, so we got to have so many public hearings before we can take action. So I apologize for that, but thank you for all those who spoke on behalf of this item. We'll go ahead and
May I make a comment?
Sure.
Thank you. So I appreciate all of you who came and spoke tonight in regards to your participation in our CDBG funding. I have interest in all of you who presented, close to my heart, and things that I do support, committees that I'm on and a part of. Carlene and all the work that she's done with the youth court is outstanding. One thing that Carlene did not mention is that some of the youth court participants end up graduating and then coming back and serving on the panel as a part of the youth court. And so that's just a testament to what they're receiving while they're in youth court, and then also them being able to turn their lives around and turn back and do something good for other people. I'm also especially happy to see Patty here tonight because I was in I don't know if it was the last Big View that you did, but where she presented at Big View at the Circles program, I was invited to participate, and it was a really great evening. Prior to the election, so we were able to talk about all of the things that were on the ballot, as she mentioned, and then just sharing a meal, sharing conversation, and let people know that you're seen, you're heard, your voice matters, all of those things. So glad to see you here tonight, and of course, Habitat for Humanity folks, Safe Harbor, both organizations, I fully support, and just glad to see that the money that we have access to in Layton City, what we can do with it and how we help to support the residents of our city. And these were just a few of the folks who came to speak on tonight, but I just wanted you all to know that I appreciate you being here and being able to share with the community what you do and what we do with the funds that come in. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to item number B of our public hearing. And Mr. Weston Apollonie is going to present this item to us, and it's regarding a street vacation right away.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is a request from an applicant to vacate a portion of the East Gentile Street. That is a cul-de-sac that dead ends right at the Highway 89. This vacation portion of the street right away is proposed to be deeded to the applicant, which equals 3,110 square feet. The applicant, as a part of this vacation, would be required to pay Layton City for the land being vacated prior to the recording of the plat with the county. Staff recommends the City Council adopt the ordinance 2504, vacating a portion of the East Gentile Street, subject to the applicant paying the city for the property and for the final plat. And I will just say that this is the reason for this is a part of a subdivision that the applicant has already gone through and received preliminary and final plat approval. And the the small vacation would allow for that lot to be created and for the road to turn into this cul-de-sac for the subdivision. Any questions for staff?
Any question? Okay, seeing that there's none, if there's anyone in the audience that wish to speak to this item, you're more than welcome to stand up to the podium and once again state your name and your city. Okay, being that there's no comments on item number B, we'll go ahead and go on to item number C, which Mr. Apolloni gets to present that item to us as well.
Okay. Thank you again. Before you tonight is a request from the City Council staff. At the request of City Council, staff has prepared a draft amendment to codify the separation of land uses of permanent cosmetics and tattooing. The draft amendment includes a definition for permanent cosmetics and a definition for tattooing, as well as expanding the table of land use regulations listed in Table 6.1 and 6.2 to include permanent cosmetics as a separate land use. The amendment would also establish a zoning district where establish the zoning districts where permanent cosmetics would be permitted. On December 10th, 2024, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the council not adopt the proposed amendment, but rather adopt a definition of body art that would include both tattooing and permanent cosmetics, allowing body art to be included in the same zone currently allowed for permanent cosmetics, with an exception to the PB or professional office zone. Staff is recommending the council adopt the proposed amendment as drafted. Any questions for staff?
Any question? Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to this item? Okay, seeing that there's no questions on this, I'll go ahead and then thank you, Mr. Apolloni, for your presentation. I'll go ahead and bring the action back to the council. And again, we do have two items that we need to take action on, and we will handle those separately. So, council, if you'd like, you could start out with the item B. You can close the public hearing and we can take action. So if anyone would like to make that proposal.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 25-04, street vacation right away.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's been moved in second. We'll go ahead and do a roll call on this. I'll start down here with Councilmember Thomas.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Smith Edmondson. Aye. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Bloxham.
Yes.
Councilman Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, there you have it. Item number B passes unanimously. We'll go on to item number C. So with that, council, I'll look for someone to make a motion on ordinance 25-01.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 25-01 for the zoning change amendments. And I'd like to add comments that I appreciate staff for hearing the council's heart when we asked for a breakout of these two definitions, because we wanted to prevent confusion and provide clarity for what types of businesses were allowable in certain zones. And so I do believe that what we've asked is what they have provided, and that we shouldn't have any other complications, confusion, as we have had in the past with these two definitions. So with that, I move that we adopt this ordinance.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we adopt ordinance 25-01. Councilman Roberts.
Yes.
Councilman Morris. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
I'm going to mix this up. Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
I'm keeping you guys on your toes. Okay, Councilman Bloxham.
Yes, and Madam Manager, may I just say something? We went through the process of having the Planning Commission review this. The Planning Commission gave us a recommendation, and we do appreciate I do personally appreciate the Planning Commission's looking at information for us, for being our eyes and ears, and appreciate their recommendations. Occasionally we have differences of agreement or differences of opinion. This happens to be one of those, but I don't want it to in any way affect their ability to give us what they think is what their opinion is, because it helps us be able to make what we consider the best decision for the city. So with that, I do vote yes, but I wanted just to make sure that the Planning Commission was aware of that we do take their recommendation seriously. Thank you.
Okay, point well taken. Councilmember Smith Edmondson.
Aye.
Okay, there you have it. Item C passes unanimously. So that pretty much concludes our council meeting for this evening. So council, if you have no unfinished business to present, then I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
May I make a comment?
Absolutely.
We had a, excuse me, put something in my mouth. I shouldn't have done that. A tough day today in Layton City with some public safety. We had a suicide that happened in the city with schools being locked down. In the middle of that, there was a major wreck in, I think it was Antelope and Main Street. And as I was listening to the scanner, because I was like, what is going on? Then all of a sudden now there was a house that was smoke from a house in the city. And I mean, professional, trained, sober, the men and women who took care of our community today need to be commended every day, but especially in a day like today where lives were saved. Unfortunately, life was lost. I don't know. I don't have the details of the traffic accident or what happened there exactly, but to Alex's point earlier, 24/7, and in some cases, lives are at stake. And so, just a thank you from me to public safety and all the employees of the city.
Well, thank you, Councilman Morrison. I think you can, that echoes on behalf of the entire council and myself here tonight, which is why we need to pray for him often, and we hope that others will too. So thank you. So was that a motion to close the public? Oh. I need a motion to close our council meeting.
Yeah, I move we close this public meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. I sincerely want to thank everyone who participated tonight and wish you all of safety in your lives at all times. And we say this dearly. So thanks again for being here and enjoy it.